We're going to get started. Welcome and thank you for joining our webinar on how to start a campus kitchen. My name is Olivia Regine, and I am the Community Development Coordinator at the Campus Kitchens Project's National Office in Washington, D.C. So this presentation is meant to give you some background on the Campus Kitchen Project, an overview of our planning process, and some helpful tips to start your own campus kitchen. And we will also be having a question and answer session towards the end. If you have any questions at all while I go over the information, please feel free to write in the chat box and I can answer those as soon as possible. All right. So it's crucial to see the big picture of what the Campus Kitchens project is really about. So we'll cover some basic components of a campus kitchen and give some context of how we came to be in 2001. So as you may know, food insecurity and hunger are major issues across America, and it is seen in many different types of communities, both rural and urban, and has many different faces. This national need is undoubtedly something that your community faces, and I'm sure you've probably heard that 1 out of every 6 Americans and 1 out of every 5 children don't know where their next meal is coming from. That adds up to about 50 million Americans living in food insecure households, as you can see. So not only are millions of people experiencing hunger in our nation, but millions are also wasting food. About 40% of the food in the U.S. is actually wasted each year, and this costs Americans over $165 billion annually in wasted resources. And these are really the statistics that the Campus Kitchens Project is seeking to combat. So across the country, we currently have 49 campus kitchens, and we're very excited to launch our 50th within the next coming months. And these campus kitchens are driven by students, mostly millennials like yourselves, which is actually the first generation to be raised on this concept of service. Currently, 90% of incoming freshmen actually have been engaged in service prior to their college experience and understand its important role in the community. And we know that students like yourselves want to give back in meaningful ways and have a meaningful impact. And through the Campus Kitchens Project, we find valuable volunteer experiences and ways to contribute to the community. So right now, there are over 4,000 colleges and universities across the country, and not only are there motivated students at these schools, but there's also unused space, food, and knowledgeable communities. At the Campus Kitchens Project, we believe in asset-based development, which essentially means that these are already existing assets on your campus that can be built on and used for the development of our program. So rather than looking at as what is missing, it's important to identify these untapped resources you have on and off of your campus. And if we start to look at our university as part of our community, for example, we can see what assets we can bring. So these untapped resources, like I mentioned, may include an on-campus kitchen, surplus of food, engaged students, and a community that understands its own needs. So with the need of a national food security and active students and these untapped resources, the Campus Kitchens Project was born, and utilizing these excess resources in a meaningful way is something that happens at every campus kitchen and hopefully can happen at yours too. So the Campus Kitchens Project philosophy. At the Campus Kitchens Project, we value building on existing assets, like I mentioned, and doing what we call going beyond the meal, which I'll discuss in a moment, and building on student leaders like you all. Those who founded the Campus Kitchens Project decided to link all those pieces together, student leaders that recover food that would have gone to waste, put university dining halls to use after hours, and feed those struggling with food insecurity. In addition, we're also teaching students to see wasted resources as a sustainable solution to community issues. So our model has 3 essential components. Our first crucial aspect is students recovering food that would have otherwise gone to waste. This can occur at a variety of locations that as you can see, such as dining halls, grocery stores, restaurants, and farms. The next component of our model is preparing meals. Some campus kitchens reheat or repurpose food to create well-balanced and nutritious meals, while others scratch cook these meals. And this all depends on the type of product you're recovering from dining, grocery stores, and so on. Students then volunteer their time to deliver these meals to individuals and/or agencies in the community who are struggling with food insecurity. We work with a variety of agencies such as homeless shelters, after-school programs, low-income housing facilities, and even individual home deliveries, as you can see. So just to give you a glimpse out of the past year, as you can see in the 2014 to 2015 school years, we had 45 affiliate schools across the country, and as I mentioned before, we now have 49 to date. And as far as space goes, Dining Services designates unused kitchen space on or near campus to be shared and used during off hours. And in that space, over 23,000 students dedicated over 76,000 volunteer hours. Students contribute to the program in many different capacities, from creating and delivering meals as volunteers to guiding the program as members of the leadership team. In the last year alone, our student volunteers recovered nearly 1 million pounds of food from dining halls, food banks, farmers markets, and grocery stores. This food was then stored at the on-campus kitchen, as I mentioned, and all of this food would have otherwise gone to waste. So with that food, students take part in cooking shifts to prepare and repackage the donated food into balanced meals. And last year, our schools prepared over 300,000 nutritious meals. These meals are then transported and delivered to community partners and individuals in need in shelters, after-school programs, and so on. Last year, the campus kitchens fed over 15,000 clients and over 1,000 sessions on nutrition education and gardening. This added nearly $1.5 million in economic value to these communities we serve, allowing the agencies to focus their time, efforts, and money on their mission, empowering their clients. So as you can see, just in the numbers alone, the impact we're making in communities and nationwide is really significant. So I mentioned earlier going beyond the meal, and I'm just going to get into what that really means to us. So while these statistics are great, we all know that we will never feed our way out of hunger, and this is why we encourage all of our schools to go beyond the meal and really get to the root causes of these issues rather than perpetuating the cycle of poverty and hunger. So while meals are the foundation of our work, they're more of a means for a holistic solution of hunger and poverty. We're not just providing services, but we want a deeper presence in the community. The Campus Kitchen project uses food as a tool to better address and meet the needs of the community by developing programs for their clients and address the underlying causes of hunger as well. So many students and staff wish to become more connected in the surrounding community, but oftentimes don't have a meaningful way to connect. And providing meals is a great first step to get your foot in the door, but there are so many more possibilities once you get started. So once your campus kitchen has provided meals to an agency, they can begin to form a relationship and find out what other needs their clients might have at the university they can assist with. Schools might find the local agencies have much more to offer them as well. And this reciprocal partnership is a great way to break down that town versus gown barrier that sometimes occurs. One of the ways that the Campus Kitchens goes beyond the meal is through nutrition education. And these programs include SNAP outreach, farmers markets, classes on nutrition and/or cooking. And we even provide curriculums on healthy eating on a budget and garden-based education for youth. Some campus kitchens also partner with community gardens and farms or even create their own. This is a really creative way to increase fresh produce and meals, connect partners with students, and can even be used as a platform for education and positive interactions. Other ways of going beyond the meal can involve economic empowerment programs such as culinary job training programs, and this really allows community members to enter into the restaurant industry. On-campus farmers markets, which creates more income for farmers, and the creation of food hubs to expand consumer market for local farmers. Lastly, community development projects are also a way schools can go beyond the meal. This can include senior wellness classes, intergenerational service projects, after-school programs, backpack programs, and community dinners. These are all projects that build connections in the community. So that brings us to student leadership development, and this has been an amazing byproduct turned focus of the work of the campus kitchens and in the community. Since students are in essence actually running their own nonprofit, they're being given high-level responsibilities, which gives them tangible work-related skills that line up perfectly with what employers are looking for today. This is a large component of our work and obviously crucial to you all. So 9 out of 10 Campus Kitchen volunteers agree that their leadership skills acquired will make them more likely to find a job. And as you can see, 100% of students felt that they have contributed in a valuable way in their community. As far as our impact on campus and the community, 100% of client agencies believe we have increased their access to healthy food, which is really wonderful. 94 are able to identify with the situation of the people that they serve, and 67% agree that participating in the campus kitchen has influenced their career path. So now let's look at the big picture. As you can see here, these are all crucial components of starting your own campus kitchen. These are the 4 primary aspects of support needed to start every campus kitchen, although our model is often tailored specifically to each school and each community. These include school support, student support, dining support, and community support. After each group, I will give the next step to take part of the planning process, and these are also available on our online planner, which I'll mention later on as well. So school support. Having support from your school can make creating and sustaining your campus kitchen that much easier. Each campus kitchen needs what we call a sponsoring office, which is a place for the campus kitchen to call home, because we want the campus kitchen to be a sustainable and deeply rooted aspect of the campus, not just a floating entity on campus. This would most likely be your office for student engagement, perhaps your service learning office, office for community engagement, and so on. They're going to be the first group you need to reach out to and can help connect you with other students, programs, and staff that might be interested in the project as a whole. Aside from having a sponsoring office, fostering a variety of other staff and administrative support on campus can be really beneficial. Approach your service office and ask to talk to the potential about starting a campus kitchen. We have a great one-pager on the planner that highlights some frequently asked questions and provides some good answers and talking points. So the next step, I would say, is to set up a meeting with your potential sponsoring office, as I mentioned, on campus. So that brings us to student support. Students are at the core of every campus kitchen and hold a variety of roles within it. Each campus kitchen must first have a strong leadership team consisting of anywhere between 5 to 12 students. And this leadership team is not only important at your campus kitchen because of operating reasons, but is also crucial because of during the planning period itself. A leadership team guides the campus kitchen and provides structure and support on campus. And the leadership team can come from a class, a department such as nutrition, education, or just generally recruited from the student body. Students also must be the volunteer base for each campus kitchen and provides physical manpower to run the daily operations. Students have the opportunity to lead those shifts as well and take on future leadership responsibility by chairing a position on the leadership team. So also for student outreach, I would suggest reaching out to clubs that have like-minded missions, perhaps Real Food Challenge if that's on your campus, or other service organizations. Some campuses have a specific fraternity or sorority dedicated to service. Reaching out to those would be a good idea as well. So leadership structures. Every campus kitchen has different models of leadership, and some are student-run, some are run by part-time staff, such as AmeriCorps Vistas, and some are run by full-time staff. And this will really be dependent on your program size of itself. So the next step would be to establish your student leadership team. Many times a good place to start is to look at already existing classes or clubs on campus that might want to take on this project and be the main leaders as it is establishing. If you can get a class or club to sponsor, you already have students built in itself. And you can just promote the leadership team through campus media and form a leadership team through asking professors to help connect you with other interested students. And as I mentioned, if you have a related department at your school, such as nutrition, this might be a great place to start. You can also start looking into chartering your campus as an official group on campus. So dining support. Dining support is often the most crucial yet most difficult aspect of starting a campus kitchen. So dining is often concerned with liability issues, but did you know that the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act essentially assures that we nor is dining liable for donating in good faith? This is national legislation. All campus kitchens are also required to maintain comprehensive food safety tracking system, which is what we call HACCP. And this allows us to essentially track the food from the time it is donated, prepared, delivered, and served. And this ensures that our clients are kept safe, our volunteers are kept accountable, and we also require that all students leading cooking shifts are ServSafe certified, and this is the same certification that restaurants and dining staff must receive. So it's a really crucial part of our operations. And lastly, we've been doing this for over a decade and never have had a single issue regarding food safety or liability, so that's something to mention to dining as well. So dining support next step, I would say reaching out to your dining services director or manager is a great place to start. You might use your sponsor, other administrative or staff to facilitate this connection if they know someone in the dining service arena. Pitch this idea to the campus kitchens to them, and be sure to have the liability information on hand, as I mentioned, the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act, and talk about potential space and food donations possibilities first. The planner will provide all the tools and information you need to pitch this idea to dining, and it's also really smart to come to that meeting with your sponsor or other higher administrative staff that is on board. They can even potentially reach out for you and keep things moving forward quickly. You can also start reaching out to other potential food donors in your community, such as restaurants, supermarkets, farms, hospitals, or other schools. So lastly, that brings us to community support. And community support is a necessary partnership to acquire. The Campus Kitchen prides itself on being a community-focused program, and every campus kitchen fully assesses their community and identifies already existing assets that they can utilize for their Campus Kitchen partnership. Your Campus Kitchen will need to identify and pick community partners to deliver your meals to. So looking at other organizations or on your university might already have a partnership with is a great place to start. Piggybacking on other service programs or campus partnerships can be very fruitful relationships. It's also really important that the relationship between the campus kitchen and the community partners be reciprocal, where each group benefits and in different ways. The next step to gain community support would be to assess your community needs and assets and pinpoint unmet needs and gaps in services and set up meetings with these potential clients. The Campus Kitchen has a community assessment tool that schools can facilitate for this process. I know some of you joining already mentioned that you have partnerships in mind, which is great. So now I'll be going over the launch process of a Campus Kitchen. So the Getting Started form. Filling out a Getting Started form is the very first component of planning. You can find this right under our website under Start a Campus Kitchen, and their link is there as well. Once you fill this form out, you'll receive an email from me, which will inform you about our planner. And some of you may already be familiar with the Campus Kitchen Planner. So I've mentioned this a few times throughout the presentation, but the Campus Kitchen Planner is really the home to planning. So now that you've learned about the initial steps to getting started, this tool provides you the step-by-step process of how to complete the rest of planning at your school. And beyond just laying the path to launch, the planner also houses all of our resources, documents, and information you might need along the way. You can invite your team to the planner, assign tasks to other students, set deadlines, and even communicate with your team and our national staff all on the planner. So if you ever had a question, you can even write there and someone from our national staff will answer. It's really your home base for campus kitchen planning, so if you haven't accepted your planner, I would suggest doing that right after this. And while every school is different, we find that most schools take a little less than a semester to finalize the process and launch their own campus kitchen, but you can get started at any time. So once you've completed the online planner and submitted all the necessary documents that accompany it, you will be ready to start operations, and a representative from our office will come to your campus for your official launch celebration and get you set up and trained. One of the best ways to get started with your planner is to take advantage of our launch grant competitions. Schools that qualify submit a short video showing the need in their community and why they believe a campus kitchen at their school would impact that need. The videos are then voted on by the general public for 1 week, and those schools on the top are awarded $5,000 grants to start their own campus kitchens. And we actually just had a grant competition a few weeks ago, and our next one is in March, funded by the AARP Foundation, and you can begin qualifying now. To qualify, schools must submit 4 letters of support, those letters that I mentioned earlier, so one from students, staff, sponsoring office, and dining, and then a letter of intent to sign our contract from administration. And you can find all of this information on our planner as well and set up a call with me. I would be happy to go over that information. And the great news is that these qualifying steps are the exact same steps you would take to plan your campus kitchen. But this way you get funding to start your program. So once again, our next competition is in March, and you can begin qualifying now. The deadline is in February to qualify. So though it sounds like a lot of time, the sooner the better. So this is going to conclude the presentation. Thank you so much for taking the time to participate in this webinar. I would now like to open up the floor to you all for some question and answer time, and I would also encourage you all to fill out our Getting Started form online. The link is below if you're interested in starting a campus kitchen at your school or in your community. Are there any questions at this time?